All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a blustery morning. My name is Kyle Makarios, and I am vice chair of a really great coalition called Jobs for Minnesotans. We're a coalition, statewide coalition of community leaders, labor leaders, and business leaders who firmly believe that we can create good jobs in Minnesota and protect the environment. In fact, we insist that we're not going to have a debate about jobs or the environment. We insist on protecting the environment while creating good, stable jobs that support our families all across the state. We're here today in support of safe and reliable energy transportation and Enbridge's Line 67 expansion. Jobs for Minnesotans firmly believes that projects like the Line 67 expansion must be allowed to follow a fair, predictable, and timely review process. This expansion has undergone 4 years of review, which culminated in the release of a 700-page draft supplemental environmental impact statement that found no significant adverse environmental impacts. It's time to move forward without delay and realize the important benefits that this expansion can bring to our nation's energy security, the economic vitality of local communities like ours that we depend on. The members of Jobs for Minnesotans call on the Department of State to recommend that the presidential permit for Line 67 be issued expeditiously and to move forward with this important expansion. We're going to hear from several business and labor and civic leaders this morning. First up will be Jim Lucach, who's a member of the Beltrami County Board of Commissioners.
Morning, everybody. For those of you from our community, you've probably seen a couple of my letters to the editor. I didn't prepare a speech because I've talked about this so many times over and over. I know a lot of you folks out in the audience. I know where you come from. I know what you do for a living. You all like water, and a clean environment a whole bunch too. And you have the power out in the field to make that happen. My wife is a certified welding inspector. She's also responsible for safety on the job site. She's responsible for the paperwork, the hydro tests, training welders. There are so many checks and balances put in place to make sure that we're going to keep going as a society with petroleum. My last letter to the editor raised a whole bunch of positive comments back about everything that you do in your ordinary life. From the time you get up in the morning, to the house that you live in, to the food that you eat, to the roads that you drive on, the cars that you drive in, the phone that you talk on. It's everywhere. Petroleum usage is a state of our society right now. The nice thing is when you talk to, and I made some phone calls to Beltrami Electric and to Otter Tail Power, and we are working towards more renewable resources. But you can't just cut off and stop using petroleum. That's unrealistic. You just can't say no more petroleum, we need more renewable resources. You have to work towards that. Otter Tail Power currently, and give me a little leeway here on the numbers, but roughly 50% of their power generation is by coal. Now, we also know that coal needs to be extracted with diesel fuel and with machinery, and then it needs to be transported, it needs to be burned, there's still a whole bunch of petroleum involved in that 50% coal generation of electricity. The other part of that piece is, and Otter Tail is working on increasing the use of wind generation, of their own wind generation, and there's a very big public line now that is wind generated coming from other parts of the country. Not sure if that's Manitoba. There's a lot of wind generation up there, but the long and the short of it still is petroleum is needed to manufacture the wind generators. Petroleum is needed to manufacture solar panels. It's not an all or none situation. I've said this in our county board many times. I get so frustrated when all I'm offered is a 0 or 100% solution. We either raise the levy by 8% or 0. And I say, if that's all you're going to give me, then I guess I got to vote for 0, because I don't want the 8%. I'll meet you in the middle. Give me a 4. Negotiate me a 4.5. Give me a 3.5. But it's always a 0 or 100 type of solution. And I feel the same way about the petroleum discussion. It's not a 0 or 100 usage of petroleum. We need to use it wisely. We need to start transitioning to renewables as much as possible. But even if we said today, and we haven't said that today, that we're going to go 100% renewable energy, it'll take 25 to 35, maybe even 50 years to transition away from our petroleum-based manufacturing and everything that we do. All our food is produced with petroleum-based machinery and processes. And the most interesting statistic, and again, give me some leeway here, but roughly 70% of all of our petroleum usage is in the transportation of goods and services. So that's all the transport ships that are going back and forth across the ocean right now. That's all of our semi-tractor trailers. That's our train transportation. That's all that transportation. 70% of our petroleum usage is involved in that. So we have a long ways to go in researching how we're going to change that with a wind generator on a semi-tractor trailer or a wind generator on an ocean-going vessel. It doesn't work. I mean, so our society is still based on this petroleum usage, and we have gotten here over a 100-year course of doing that. So, as an elected official, remember, I'm not speaking on behalf of my county board today. I'm speaking on behalf of the 9,000 plus residents that I represent in Beltrami County. And I was just recently elected for the 3rd time, so I believe I'm listening to the constituency and listening to the folks that voted me in. And I'm saying petroleum usage is here, and we need to do it safely. We need to transport it safely. And from all of the research that I've done and using my own brain, the best way to transport petroleum products is in liquid pipelines. That's the long and the short of it. We haven't had a huge major train catastrophe yet with petroleum, but we don't want that to happen. Let's strengthen our liquid pipeline transportation. That's just a normal, rational way of going about it. So thank you for your time today, and I always welcome comments. You can reach me on the Beltrami County website. You can talk to my email. I always get back to people. You can call me at home. I pride myself at calling back everybody, whether you're with me or against what I support at the county level. I will always get back and talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The next several speakers are going to talk about how important Enbridge has been to our local economy here in Bemidji. Next up is Michael Tseng, who's the owner of Northwestern Surveying and Engineering.
Hello, my name's Michael Tseng. Like he said, I'm one of the owners of Northwestern Surveying and Engineering. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning as a voice for some of the local businesses in Bemidji about the importance of Enbridge to our local economy and our business in general. I moved back here in 1999 when we first started our family. I attempted to become a land surveyor and stay locally to stay near our family, but was unable to do so because my firm was not involved with a large company like Enbridge. I moved away, went to college, became a civil engineer and a land surveyor, and moved back in 2013 and bought into this company, which is deeply involved with Enbridge. We provide land surveying services and underground utility locating services for Enbridge with their Integrity Digs program. I'd just like to say that Enbridge has provided the opportunity for not only myself but all my employees to stay locally and have good paying jobs and able to start families and buy homes and buy new vehicles. And I believe that without Enbridge in this area, they wouldn't be afforded those same opportunities. I know there's the green side of the pipeline, and everybody seems to think that it's a big factor with pollution, but from what I've seen in the field, working with Enbridge on a daily basis in some cases, I would say that they are some of the best stewards of our environment that I've ever worked with. I think all the bad press that they get is misplaced. I would say that Enbridge is synonymous with Paul and Babe. It's been around this area for 65 years, and it's become an integral part of this small economy up here. And I appreciate the fact that they're up here and they've allowed me to not only survive but flourish in this small town. So thank you for letting me say my piece.
Our next speaker represents the union workers who install pipelines across the state. Russell Hess works for the Laborers District Council of Minnesota and North Dakota.
Thanks for allowing me to be here today. Infrastructure projects like Line 67 are critical to advancing the careers of Minnesota construction workers. Careers that provide wages that support families, good health care at reasonable prices, and pensions that allow us to retire with dignity. When Line 67 was originally built, it generated thousands of great jobs that Minnesota absolutely needed during a time of economic downturn. In fact, many of the people who worked on that pipeline project then live in Minnesota today. Unfortunately, these days, there are a lot of people that try to pit the environment versus jobs in these debates. We, the laborers, reject that line of thinking entirely. We must and will preserve a healthy environment, and we must also create good paying jobs. Both are essential to a prosperous society. And let's be clear, nobody cares more about the environment than our members. They hunt, they fish, and they enjoy this beautiful region as much or more than anyone. Our members have been building Enbridge projects for decades in this state. We know that safety is the #1 priority on their jobs. And members of the laborers union and all the other trades involved in building pipelines spend countless hours learning how to, and practicing, protecting the environment from the beginning to the end of these projects. From the time the land is cleared to put the pipe in the ground, to the time the land's restored when it's over with, and during the project, we spend hours training members on how to do that properly so the environment is protected the whole time. And when it comes to oil transportation, our members have been building Enbridge projects for decades. We know that safety is the #1 priority on their jobs, not only of the environment, but of our members when they're building them. And when it comes to oil transportation, there's no question that pipelines are the safest and most environmentally friendly way to move oil to market. I stand here today representing Jobs for Minnesotans and 12,000 members of the laborers in the upper Midwest because we support safe energy transportation and we support Enbridge and our members in their commitment to safety, the environment, and doing the right thing. So we want to ask the State Department to approve the presidential permit for the Line 67 expansion without further delay. Thank you.
All right, we have one more speaker before we open up for any questions from the media that are here. Laurie Shot is a business owner and president of Avery Pipeline Services.
Thank you. I am Laurie Shot, and my story is I'm a farm girl that married a pipeliner. And we established a business in 2009 in Mille Lacs, Minnesota, which is just south of Mille Lacs Lake. Our company provides construction management, inspection, safety, and environmental professionals to the energy industry, oil, wind, and gas. I'm also a representative of Jobs of Minnesotans here today. Avery Pipeline has a working relationship with Enbridge that I'm proud of. It began in 2009 when they hired my husband to serve as a construction manager and asked us to provide inspection services for the initial construction of Line 68. Since that time, our little company has springboarded due to the opportunity that Enbridge provided for us. Our company now has had over 200 employees on an average, and we're providing good paying jobs in the state of Minnesota. We arrived here as pipeliners in an RV where they say that we don't stay. Well, this many years later, we're still here. And our son has returned to us as an engineer from the university to work for our business in Minnesota. Later this afternoon, you are going to hear a lot of views and opinions about the Line 67 expansion and the review process. It's important that each and every one of us understand and keep in mind that this pipeline expansion that they're asking about is expanding the capacity along a 3-mile segment of an already existing pipeline on the Canadian and Minnesota border. Outside of that segment, Line 67 is moving 800,000 barrels of oil per day. The permit is about using the available capacity of a line to its fullest potential. Without the Line 67 expansion, things could look a lot different. Oil needs to go to market. How will that occur? Trucks, tankers on our roads, and trains going through our communities. There has to be a better yes. The networks of pipelines across our country, I feel, are the unsung and the unseen heroes of the energy that we all use today. We need this, and we need to keep the open and honest conversations going about our use of crude oil today. Over 90% of the products that we use and touch and need every single day are a result of oil and natural gas products that are transported via these pipeline infrastructures that are running underneath our feet. I know that Avery Pipeline, along with Enbridge Energy, shares a strong commitment, a commitment to safety, a commitment to the environment, and a commitment to the pipelines that are located in these communities along the routes. I've seen it. I asked the Department of State to issue the presidential permit for the Line 67 expansion because I support our country's access to secure and reliable energy. I also support making the most of an available pipeline to its fullest capacity to fuel our cars, our trucks, our trains, and our airplanes. I support the energy infrastructure. For our farmers who are here today, I'm a farm girl. I support that we need it to plant and grow and harvest and utilize equipment to raise cattle and crops that feed America. Petroleum-based products, we have to remember, range from everything, from your cell phone to your shoes, from golf balls to tennis shoes. Energy is everywhere, and we need it. I support this expansion because the pipeline infrastructure works to keep the wheels of America turning, and it's up to us to make sure that we utilize it in a safe and most efficient mode of transportation. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody.